Hare Krishna. So thank you very much everyone for tuning in. So today we will be discussing chapter 3 of the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a simple and straightforward chapter. So let me just do a very short prayers, then we can get into the subject matter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmunmilitam Yena. Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Kaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a very simple and straightforward chapter, but reading Bhagavatam on a regular basis, I know most of the 7th canto is very familiar to the devotees, unlike other cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. The story of Narsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj, and Hiranyakashipu we have heard time and again. But by reading it again and again, by discussing, we get purified. Mahaprabhu used to hear on a regular basis the story of Prahlad Maharaj, the story of Dhruv Maharaj repeatedly. Mahaprabhu used to hear. Mahaprabhu and what's his name? Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Gadadhar Pandit. Yes. So they were discussing it on a regular basis. So this Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya is very important, and also it is, in the month of auspicious month of Kartik, just by, being here, hearing, discussing, we get, a lot of purification. So let's get into the subject matter. So if you are in a position to read today, please raise your hand so I can pick you up. So default view. So who would like to read the first 5 verses? This chapter is entitled Hiranyakashipu's plan to become immortal. Jishamataji, please go ahead and read first 5 verses.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Text 1. Narada Muni said to Maharaj Yudhishthira, the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu wanted to be unconquerable and free from old age and dwindling of the body. He wanted to gain all the yogic perfections like Anima and Laghima, to be deathless, and to be the only king of the entire universe, including Brahmaloka. Text 2. In the valley of Mandara hill, Hiranyakashipu began performing his austerities by standing with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking toward the sky. This position was extremely difficult, but he accepted it as a means to attain perfection. Text 3. From the hair on Hiranyakashipu's head there emanated an effulgent light as brilliant and intolerable as the rays of the sun at the time of dissolution. Seeing the performance of such austere penances, The demigods who had been wandering throughout the planets now returned to their respective homes. Text 4. Because of Hiranyakashipu's severe austerities, fire came from his head, and this fire and its smoke spread throughout the sky, encompassing the upper and lower planets, which all became extremely hot. Text 5. Because of the power of his severe austerities, all the rivers and the oceans were agitated, and the surface of the globe with its mountains and islands began trembling, and the stars and planets fell. All directions were ablaze.
Thank you, Mataji. So in the previous chapter, please remember that this entire conversation, the seventh canto, is a conversation between Narada Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Narada Muni is describing the entire story of Prahlad Maharaj to Yudhishthir. When Yudhishthir Maharaj asked a question about, how come Shishupal being killed by the Lord could attain liberation, even though he was so sinful and so cruel. He could have gone to the hell, but in front of everyone in the assembly. So as they were seeing, he basically attained liberation, entered into the body of the Lord. So Yudhishthir Maharaj asked, the information about him, and that's how Narada Muni started narrating entire pastime, how they Jaya and Vijay were there in the spiritual world in Vaikunta. They were cursed by four Kumaras, and this is their third birth as Shishupal and Dantavaktra. First birth, they were Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so cruel that, he decided to kill his own son like that. So Yudhishthira Maharaj further inquired about Hiranyakashipu. How come, a father is so cruel to his own son? Can you explain about that? And Narada Muni explained in the previous chapter the background, that after Hiranyaksha, his brother got killed by Varahadev, Lord Varaha. So he consoled his family members, his sister-in-law Rishabhanu, and his nephews and his mother Diti, and he spoke a lot of philosophy. So we have seen in the previous chapter. So the philosophy basically says that the relations are temporary, the body is temporary. So basically, the essence of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, soul never dies. Yeah. So nanyate anyamane sharire, the body cannot be saved, a soul cannot be killed. So there is no need to worry. These relations are temporary, like that. So he spoke, at a length, and there was, he told a story of Suyagnya, and when Suyagnya died on the battle, his queens were lamenting. That time Yamaraj in the form of a boy came there, and he enlightened them with a philosophy. So with all this, they became peaceful after hearing this philosophy. But now, Hiranyakashipu, in this chapter, as you can see, that so in the previous chapter, we are also seeing that he asked his associates to go down to the planet Earth and create trouble to trouble. So thereby the performance of yajnas will be stopped, because ultimately the demigods and Lord Vishnu are sustained on performance of yajna. So in this chapter, as we can see, his associates went down and they were creating disturbances on the planet Earth. Now, Hiranyakashipu, um, he decided to become immortal, and attain all kind of perfections, ashtasiddhis, becoming lighter than the lighter, greater than the greatest, smaller than the smallest. Like, there are eight, yogic perfections. For a devotee, they are just useless. They are simply a disturbance. So if you remember the story of Amrish Maharaj, the Durvasa Muni had all these perfections, but Ambarish didn't have any perfection, any yogic, so-called ashtasiddhis, eight yogic perfection, but he was a great devotee. And, when Durvasa Muni, created this fiery demon, he was not afraid. And, Sudarshan disc came and chased Durvasa Muni. So the position of a devotee is much greater than all these mystic yogis are attaining all these mystic perfections. So his main purpose is want to become deathless and attained all the eight perfection, yogic perfection. And basically, he wanted to be the only king in the universe, including Brahmaloka. So basically, he wanted to occupy the post of Lord Brahma. That is his aim. Prabhupada writes in this chapter time and again, how nobody's position is, is stable. Everybody, want to occupy the higher throne. So for that reason, Hiranyakashipu he chose this place, Mandarachal. So if you remember, the churning of milk ocean, when they were churning, they used this Mandarachal or Mount Mandara as the churning rod. And the rope was Vasuki. So Hiranyakashipu went there, and in the valley of Mandara Hill, so he began performing severe austerities, like standing with his toes, not on feet, and keeping his arms upward, looking toward the sky like this. This position was extremely difficult, but he decided to do this to attain perfection. So while he was doing these austerities, demigods, they just, they were wandering before, here and there. But now Hiranyakashipu is performing austerities in the valley of Mandara. So they just went to their respective homes. But it is noted that because of his austerities, there emanated an effulgent light, so brilliant. So, and not only the light, but fire came from his head because of his severe austerities. And this fire and smoke, spread throughout the sky, upper and lower planets as well. And everything became extremely hot because of this fire that is being emanated from the head of Hiranyakashipu. So not only it became hot because of this power of severe austerities, all the rivers, oceans were agitated. uh, and it is mentioned the mountains, islands, and other things, trees, and they all got, began trembling. mm. Um, so it is said that the stars and planets fell, uh, and all directions, there was fire everywhere. So this was the result of Hiranyakashipu doing severe austerities. So we'll move on and see what happens next. So the demigods, they see this, they will go to Lord Brahma and talk about this. So next we will read text 6 till 13. Who would like to volunteer?
I can read.
Please.
Scorched, sorry, scorched and extremely disturbed because of Hiranyakashipu's severe penances, all the demigods left the planets where they reside and went to the planet of Lord Brahma, where they informed the Creator as follows: O Lord of the demigods, O Master of the universe, because of the fire emanating from Hiranyakashipu's head as a result of his severe austerities, we have become so disturbed that we cannot stay in our planets but have come to you. O great person, chief of the universe, if you think it proper, kindly stop these disturbances meant to destroy everything before all your obedient subjects are annihilated. Hiranyakashipu has undertaken a most severe type of austerity. Although his plan is not unknown to you, kindly listen as we submit his intentions. The Supreme Person within this universe, Lord Brahma, has gotten his exalted post by dint of severe austerities, mystic power, and trance. Consequently, after creating the universe, he has become the most worshipable demigod within it. Since I am eternal and time is eternal, I shall endeavor for such austerity, mystic power, and trance for many, many births, and thus I shall occupy the same post occupied by Lord Brahma. By dint of my severe austerities, I shall reverse the results of pious and impious activities. I shall overturn all the established practices within this world. Even Dhruvaloka will be vanquished at the end of the millennium. Therefore, what is the use of it? I shall prefer to remain in the position of Brahma. Thank you, Prabhu.
13.
Till 30, sorry.
Yeah.
O Lord, we have heard from reliable sources that in order to obtain your post, Hiranyakashipu is now engaged in severe austerity. You are the master of the three worlds. Please, without delay, take whatever steps you deem appropriate. O Lord Brahma, your position within this universe is certainly most auspicious for everyone, especially the cows and the Brahmanas. Brahmanical culture and the protection of cows can be increasingly glorified, and thus all kinds of material happiness, opulence, and good fortune will automatically increase. But unfortunately, if Hiranyakashipu occupies his seat, everything will be lost. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is also a very straightforward section. Seeing this disturbance, the demigods approach Lord Brahma. So ideally, we should have some senior authority where, to whom we should be able to consult in difficult situations. Here we see many times demigods whenever they are in trouble, they go to Lord Brahma. In the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, also we had seen how Indra, when he offended his spiritual master Bruhaspati. So when they didn't have a spiritual master, they approached Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma suggested they should worship, they should approach Vishwarupa like that. So other times they directly worship the Lord. So there should be some higher authority for us to take guidance from. Um, it is quite helpful. Sometimes we don't know what to do. Mm. Everyone should have that. When Brahma is in difficult situation, what does he do? He worships the Lord, and the Lord replies. Um, so, um, yeah, all the demigods, they went to Lord Brahma, and they offered their obeisances. Um, then they said that although you are aware of the intentions of Hiranyakashipu, um, please hear um, what we have to say. And then they say that please go and stop. He's basically trying to occupy your post. He wants to become immortal. He wants to occupy your post. And if a demonic person like Hiranyakashipu occupies your post, just imagine the situation of the entire universe. Oh my Lord, please do the needful. Uh, so that's what they're saying. So here I just wanted to read 13, text 13. Yeah. Um, in the beginning of creation, Lord Brahma was attacked by two demons, Madhu and Kaitaba, but Krishna saved him. Therefore, Krishna is addressed as Madhu Kaitaba Hantri. Now again, Hiranyakashipu was trying to replace Brahma. So, he's trying to occupy the post of Brahma itself, but he's worshipping Brahma. So he's trying to kick him out of his post. The material world is so situated that even the position of Lord Brahma, not to speak of ordinary living entities, is something in danger. Nonetheless, until the time of Hiranyakashipu, no one had tried to replace Brahma. Hiranyakashipu, however, was such a great demon that he maintained this ambition. Prabhupada writes something very interesting. No one wanted to replace Brahma so far. But Hiranyakashipu was such a big demon. So he's trying to occupy the position of Brahma. So this material world is such a type of place. Our job is to get out of it. Sometimes Prabhupada used to say that, you don't spend too much time in the toilet, especially Indian public toilet. You just do your duty and come out of quickly. So Prabhupada said that. So our business is also get out of this world. Um, so yeah, I will next read 14 till 25. Another devotee, please. Another volunteer.
Would you like me to?
Please, if you can, no problem.
14 to 25.
Yeah, please.
Position myself. O king, being thus informed by the demigods, the most powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by Bhrigu, Daksha, and other great sages, immediately started for the place where Hiranyakashipu was performing his penances and austerities. Text 15 to 16. Lord Brahma, who is carried by a swan aeroplane, first could not see where Hiranyakashipu was, for Hiranyakashipu's body was covered by an anthill and by grass and bamboo sticks. Because Hiranyakashipu had been there for a long time, the ants had devoured his skin, fat, flesh, and blood. Then Lord Brahma and the demigods spotted him, resembling a cloud-covered sun, heating all the world by his austerity. Struck with wonder, Lord Brahma began to smile and then addressed him as follows. Text 17. Lord Brahma said, O son of Kashyapa Muni, please get up, all good fortune unto you. You are now perfect in the performance of your austerities, and therefore I may give you a benediction. You may now ask from me whatever you desire, and I shall try to fulfill your wish. Text 18. I have been very much astonished to see your endurance. In spite of being eaten and bitten by all kinds of worms and ants, you are keeping your life air circulating within your veins. Certainly this is wonderful. In text 19, even saintly persons like Ragu, born previously, could not perform such a severe austerities, nor will anyone in the future be able to do so. Who within these three worlds can sustain his life without even drinking water for 100 celestial years? 4.20. My dear son of Diti, with your great determination and austerity, you have done what was impossible even for great saintly persons, and thus I have certainly been conquered by you. Text 21. O best of the Asuras, for this reason I am now prepared to give you all benedictions according to your desire. I belong to this celestial world of demigods, who do not die like human beings. Therefore, although you are subject to death, your audience with me will not go in vain. Text 22. Sri Narada Muni continued, after speaking these words to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Brahma, the original being of this universe, who is extremely powerful, sprinkled transcendental, infallible, spiritual water from his kamandalu upon Hiranyakashipu's body, which had been eaten away by ants and moths. Thus he enlivened Hiranyakashipu. Text 23. As soon as he was sprinkled with the water from Lord Brahma's water pot, Hiranyakashipu arose, endowed with a full body, with limbs so strong that they could bear the striking of a thunderbolt. With physical strength and a bodily luster resembling molten gold, he emerged from the anthill a completely young man, just as fire springs from fuel wood. Text 24. Seeing Lord Brahma present before him in the sky, carried by his swan aeroplane, Hiranyakashipu was extremely pleased. He immediately fell flat with his head on the ground and began to express his obligation to the Lord.
Another one, please. Text 25.
Yes, just pointed in my book. Sorry, I do apologise. Sorry. Text 25. Then getting up from the ground and seeing Lord Brahma before him, the head of the Daityas was overwhelmed by jubilation. With tears in his eyes, his whole body shivered. He began praying in a humble mood, with folded hands and a faltering voice to satisfy Lord Brahma. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Srimati. So we need some of that special Kamandalu spiritual water, Brahma's Kamandalu. So everybody can, look young.
To do good only, though. This terrible
Sorry?
place. To do good only, though.
Yeah, exactly. But here, Hiranyakashipu was also he didn't do any good after obtaining such a youthful, beautiful, powerful body. So Prabhupada also writes in the purports, usually if you see um, that, maybe we can read that here, text 24. This is text 24, yeah. So, yeah. So Prabhupada says in this one that, the if you worship the Supreme Lord, your evil intentions are taken away. Lord Vishnu can take out, destroy your evil intentions. Whereas, people like Hiranyakashipu, they worship demigods, and they still, do the harm. They endeavor to harm people. So that is a difference between, worship of demigods and worship of worshippers of mm, uh, Krishna. So we can read. In effect, Krishna says persons engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is indirectly offered to me. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring on the root, it does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principle. The process of watering a tree is to pour water on the root. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representative of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Vidhi Purvakam. Uh, yeah, so this one. Although Hiranyakashipu offered his obeisances onto Lord Brahma, he was strongly inimical to Lord Vishnu. This is an important point here. Offered obeisances to Lord Brahma. Yes, Lord Brahma, following, he heard demigods speaking. Then, along with his associates, he reached the place where Hiranyakashipu was performing severe austerities. And, nobody, they could not find whereabouts of Hiranyakashipu in that valley, because his skin, flesh, blood was eaten by the worms and moths. So he is maintaining, his life. The life air was just being circulated within the bones, and he performed this austerity for several years. Uh, there it is mentioned 100 years of demigods possibly. Um, so, and he did not drink or eat also during that time. And so Lord Brahma said, he took some water, he sprinkled on that, on the skeleton. And now Hiranyakashipu regained youthful, fresh body. And Brahma said, he was pleased and he's ready to offer benedictions to Hiranyakashipu. This is natural. Like, sometimes, what happens is you have some money, you go to supermarket, you buy everything that you need. This is like that. You basically worship a particular demigod, and they are obliged to give, what you want, because you have performed some austerities to please them. That is the nature. Whereas when you worship the Supreme Lord, during the worship itself, um, the evil intentions are taken away. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. When we hear Bhagavatam, when we serve Bhagavatam, serving Bhagavatam means hearing regularly, hearing and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. When we do this, Nashta Prayesu, all the unwanted things in the heart will be destroyed. So although Hiranyakashipu offered his obeisances onto Lord Brahma, he was strongly inimical towards Lord Vishnu. this is the symptom of an asura. Asuras worship the demigods as being separate from the Lord. This is an important point. So when they worship any demigod, they think they are separate from the Lord. So that is why it is avidapurvakam. But if you, as a devotee, if you worship, if you offer respects to any demigod, thinking they are part of the Lord, that is a bona fide worship. Hmm? So demigods as being separate from the Lord, not knowing that all the demigods are powerful because of being servants of the Lord. If the Supreme Lord were to withdraw the powers of the demigod would no longer be able to offer benediction to their worshippers. This is an important point, yes. So ultimately, the Lord is sanctioning these benedictions through them. The Lord is empowering them to, able to offer these benedictions. The difference between a devotee and a non-devotee or asura is that devotee knows that Lord Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead and that everyone derives power from him. Yeah, this is it. So the devotee knows that Lord Vishnu is the supreme and everyone derives power from him. He is the cause of all causes. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So I am the source of all the spiritual worlds, all the world, spiritual and material world. Everything is working because of me. So without worshipping the demigods for a particular power, a devotee worships Lord Vishnu, knowing that if he desires a particular power, he can get that power while acting as Lord Vishnu's devotee. Therefore, in the Shastra, it is recommended akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, Yajeta Purusham Param, the personality of Godhead. Even if a person has material desires, instead of worshipping the demigods, he should pray to the Supreme Lord so that his connection with the Supreme Lord will be established and he will be saved from becoming a demon or a non-devotee. Wow, interesting point. Yes, even if you have material desires, you approach Lord Vishnu only. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 7:16, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukrutino arjuna artho jignyasurartharthi gnani cha bharadarshaka. Four kinds of pious people. They approach Krishna with a motivation. Who are these? Distressed, penniless, inquisitive, and one who is seeking some knowledge like that. But they approach Krishna. They approach Krishna. They don't go elsewhere. So they are sukritina. They're very pious people. So since Vishnu is the supreme, by worshipping Vishnu, one can fulfill all one's desires. There is no need to divert one's attention to any demigod. Okay. Yeah, so we'll read a little more also. This is an important one. This is another purport to text 15 and 16. It is also to be noted that although Hiranyakashipu performed this austerity for a long time, he was nonetheless known as a Daitya and Rakshasa, a demon. It will be seen from verses to follow that even a great saintly persons could not perform such severe type of austerity. Why then was he called Rakshasa Daitya? It's a good question. No? Even the great demigods, great saints could not perform this level of austerity, this severe austerity performed by Hiranyakashipu. So why then is called a demon Rakshasa? It is because whether he did was whether whatever he did was for his own sense gratification. His son Prahlad Maharaj was only 5 years old, and so what could Prahlad do? Yet simply by performing a little devotional service according to the instruction of Narada Muni, Prahlad became so dear to the Lord that the Lord came to save him. Whereas Hiranyakashipu, in spite of all his austerities, was killed. What a beautiful quote here. What a wonderful comparison. Prahlad was only little boy. He didn't do any severe austerities. He just rendered some devotional service um, uh, on the advice of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. Whereas Hiranyakashipu rendered severe austerities, he was killed. This is the difference between devotional service and all other methods of perfection. One who performs severe austerities for sense gratification is fearful to the entire world. Whereas a devotee who performs even a slight amount of devotional service is a friend to everyone. Another wonderful point here. One who performs severe austerities for sense gratification is fearful to the entire world. Whereas devotee who performs even a slight devotional service is a friend to everyone. Surudam Sarvabhutanam. Since the Lord is the well-wisher of every living entity, and since a devotee assumes the quality of the Lord, when we worship the Lord, we also acquire some of the good qualities of the Lord. A devotee also acts for everyone's good fortune by performing devotional service. Thus, although Hiranyakashipu performed such severe austerity, he remained a Daitya and a Rakshasa, a demon. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj, although born of the same Daitya father, became most exalted devotee and was personally protected by the Supreme Lord. Bhakti is therefore called Sarvopadi Viranmuktam, indicating that a devotee is free from all material designations. Anyabhilashitas Shunyam, situated in transcendental position, free from all material desires. Okay, so I think those are some of the very interesting bits from some purports, wonderful lessons that we can take. So we'll move on now. So please, can I request another volunteer to read from text 26 till 35? These are prayers offered by, he glorifies Lord Brahma. Hiranyakashipu, he got up, he offered obeisances like a rod. He fell down on the ground, and then he offers obeisances. And if you see, he glorifies Lord Brahma with various prayers. If you hear these prayers, that he's basically seeing Lord Brahma as the supreme controller. Okay, so anyone, please. If you have read, you can read it also. If you have read, you can again read text 26 onwards.
Shall I read?
Please.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord within this universe. At the end of each day of his life, the universe is fully covered with dense darkness by the influence of time. And then again during his next day, that self-effulgent Lord by his own effulgence manifests, maintains, and destroys the entire cosmic manifestation through the material energy which is invested with the three modes of material nature. He, Lord Brahma, is the shelter of those modes of nature which are Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. I offer my obeisances to the original personality within this universe, Lord Brahma, who is cognizant and who can apply his mind and realized intelligence in creating this cosmic manifestation. It is because of his activities that everything within the universe is visible. He is therefore the cause of all manifestations. Your Lordship, being the origin of life of this material world, is the master and controller of the living entities, both moving and stationary, and you inspire their consciousness. You maintain the mind and the acting and knowledge acquiring senses, and therefore you are the great controller of all the material elements and their qualities, and you are the controller of all desires. My dear Lord, by your form as the Vedas personified, and through knowledge relating to activities of all yagnik brahmanas, you spread the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies of the 7 kinds of sacrifices headed by Agni Stoma. Indeed, you inspired the yagnik brahmanas to perform the rituals mentioned in the 3 Vedas. Being the supreme soul, the super soul of all living entities, you are beginningless, endless, and omniscient, beyond the limits of time and space. O my Lord, your Lordship is eternally awake, seeing everything that happens. As eternal time, you reduce the duration of life for all living entities through your different paths, such as moments, seconds, minutes, and hours. Nonetheless, you are unchanged, resting in one place as the Super Soul, Witness, and Supreme Lord, the birthless, all-pervading controller who is cause of life for all living entities. There is nothing separate from you, whether it be better or lower, stationary or moving. The knowledge derived from Vedic literatures like the Upanishads and from all the sublimbs of the original Vedic knowledge form your external body. You are Hiranyagarbha, the reservoir of the universe, but nonetheless being situated as the supreme controller, you are transcendental to the material world, which consists of the 3 modes of material nature. O my Lord, being changelessly situated in your own abode, you expand your universal form within this cosmic manifestation, thus appearing to taste the material world. You are Brahman, the super soul, the oldest, the personality of Godhead. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who is unlimited, unmanifested form, has expanded the cosmic manifestation, the form of the totality of the universe. He possesses external and internal energies and the mixed energy called the marginal potency, which consists of all the living entities.
I'll stop there, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
So you can see, na, Manjula Mataji. So he's saying that super soul, oldest, so controller of 3 modes. So, but actually, even Brahma, when he was created, so he could not find out the source of his origin. I don't know how many of you remember, but in the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have seen that. So he was sitting on that lotus, Lord Brahma, and through the stem he went into the Garbhodaka ocean also. There he could not see anything. When he was searching, endeavoring, severe endeavor to search here and there, then he heard Tapa by Lord Vishnu. So then he performed austerities. Then he had the audience of Lord Vishnu. And it is said, Tene Brahma Vrudaya Adi Kavaye. Krishna is the one who imported Brahma with with Vedic knowledge. Muyanti yat suraya, even great demigods are put into illusion by the Supreme Lord. Especially, anybody remembers where Brahma got bewildered?
It's the Vimohan Leela.
Brahma Vimohan Leela, a stealing of boys and calves. Actually, if you see that when Krishna was in the womb of his mother Devaki, Lord Brahma and all the demigods came and offered prayers. But here in this chapter 14, chapter 13, Brahma steals cows, so he got bewildered like that. So Hiranyakashipu, offering these prayers to Lord Brahma, but actually the original person is the supreme controller, is Lord Vishnu. Okay, so even if Brahma says he would not accept it, Brahma knows he is not the supreme master. But even if Brahma tells him now, he would not accept. He is not in that position to hear and understand. The last few verses of this chapter. So here, Hiranyakashipu, initially, he thought, he wants to become immortal, but, knowing that even Lord Brahma is not immortal, then he tried to trick Lord Brahma and ask this clever boon, which we are all aware of. So, O my Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you kindly grant me the benediction I desire, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. So this is the first point. Not meet death by any living entities created by you. So his brother Hiranyaksha got killed by boar. So number one point, he said, okay, I do not want to be killed because he is the supreme master, and all the living entities are created by him. So I do not want to be killed by any of the living entities. This is the first proposal, and this is the clever way. Grant me that I not die within any residence or outside any residence. Inside the residence, outside the residence. So Narsimhadev, he killed Hiranyakashipu on the doorway between. It's not inside or outside. During the daytime and nighttime, it's a twilight time. Not on the ground or in the sky, but Lord Narsimhadev killed on the lap. Grant me. So here, Narsimhadev, Narsimhadev is not created by Brahma, right? Brahma is created by Narsimhadev. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, nor by any weapon. So Lord Narsimhadev used his nails, no weapons were used. Nor by any human being or animal, but it's a combined form, Narahari, Narsimha, a lion and human. So grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non-living. Grant me further that I not be killed by any demigods, demon, or by any great snake from the lower planets. Since no one can kill you in the battlefield, you have no competitor. Therefore, grant me the benediction that I too may have no rival. Give me sole lordship over all living entities and presiding deities. And give me all the glories obtained by that position. Furthermore, give me all the mystic powers attained by long austerities and the penance of yoga, for those cannot be lost at any time. So we'll read the purport of the last verse. Lord Brahma obtained his supreme position due to long austerities and penances. Yes, in the beginning, he performed severe austerities, as I mentioned, tapa, he heard the word austerity. And penances, mystery yoga, meditation, and so on. Hiranyakashipu wanted a similar position. The ordinary powers achieved by mystery yoga, austerities, and other processes are sometimes vanquished, but the powers obtained by the mercy of the Lord are never vanquished. Prabhupada is comparing, but the powers obtained by the mercy of the Lord are never vanquished. Hiranyakashipu therefore wanted a benediction that would never be vanquished. Okay, so it's a pretty straightforward and simple chapter that Hiranyakashipu, after consoling his family members, his mother Diti and sister-in-law Rishabhanu and nephews, he consoled them after the death of Hiranyaksha, his brother, and they performed the funeral rites also. He gave a big philosophical lecture, and after that he went to the valley of Mandara mountain and tried to execute severe austerities, standing on the toes and raising his hands and looking into the sky. And as a result of severe austerities, there emanated a fire, and which was very intense. The heat of that fire was such that the whole universe was heated up. And so demigods, seeing the terrible condition, they went to Lord Brahma. They narrated the entire incident of Hiranyakashipu, that he was trying to trying to become immortal and occupy the post of Brahma. And they requested Brahma to stop these austerities, otherwise everything within the universe will be destroyed because of his power of severe austerities. Lord Brahma went there along with his associates, and he could not figure out where he was, because his body, flesh, and everything, blood was eaten by the worms and moths, and he was maintaining his life air within the bones. Lord Brahma, he had that special water from Kamandalu. He just sprinkled a few drops on that skeleton, and he regained his body. This time it was very youthful and very powerful. And Hiranyakashipu offered his obeisances. He fell like a rod, and then he glorified Lord Brahma to be the supreme controller. Um, then he asked for these boons, that he doesn't want to be killed here and there. It's a roundabout way of. Initially, he thought he would ask, for immortality, but he realized that is not possible, and then he was trying to, go a roundabout way and ask for a special boon. So that's how this chapter ends, and. So, Krishna willing, we will see you all next Thursday and continue the discussion of the fourth chapter of seventh canto. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.